What is going on, everyone? Thank you for checking out another SGN video where it's all sim all the time, and I am finally ready to release my first Madden 21 next gen slider set. If you've been paying attention to my channel at all, you know I've been live streaming a lot of this game, working on some sliders. I've been also playing off stream, just trying to figure some things out that just, because of the way it works, you just don't live stream those types of things. And anyway, I'm finally confident enough where I'm at with these to post them, but of course I want to go over a couple things that are key to making this play. But first, if you are new to the channel, please click that subscribe button, click that bell, man, it really helps me out. I got a lot of exciting things planned for Madden 21 Next Gen and 2K21 Next Gen as well, as far as content releases coming up, so you definitely want to be tuned in to check that stuff out. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, man, please subscribe. It really means a lot, and we're on our way to 3K, so just help me out. Anyways, back to the video. So first thing I want to talk about with these sliders is these are not set in stone, meaning everyone has different skill level on the 6 inside franchise mode. Everyone is at different playing levels, and so that means you want to treat these more like a base. So that means if you are running the ball too easily, you can make a couple changes inside franchise mode. If you think the CPU needs to run the ball better, you can make some changes. If there's issues with coverage, there are changes that can be made depending on your skill level and how you're doing with these. Don't think of these as 100% set in stone. It's impossible to do that with the way everyone plays the game. Next, we got some house rules. And I do want to talk about these house rules because they are very important. And I'm going to throw them up on the screen as well. So number one is no user catching on offense or defense. Let the game play out. Let the ratings play out. When you take over the player and override the catching animation, it gives a significant boost to that player, regardless of their ratings. So you're going to catch balls you shouldn't with wide receivers and intercept passes you probably shouldn't with DBs. So just let it play out, man. It's more fun. It's more realistic. You get what the game was intended to do anyway. So no user catching. Number two, you cannot aim on field goals. You just, wherever it aims the directional kick for you, just do it. Because these are based on pro, kicking's too easy. So you need to go ahead and leave it where it's at, and you're going to aim left or right by timing it early or late. It's that simple, but it actually makes it much more difficult, and it's honestly, I think, more fun to do it that way. The third one is no run or pass commit on defense. It's too overpowered. We'll just leave it at that. Just call your play. You can make audibles, of course, just no run or pass commit. And finally, don't call money plays, man. If you know there's a play that works a lot or is overpowered and consistently gets you the yardage you need, just stay away from it. It's pretty easy. Just chase stim, all right? That's it for the house rules. Let's go ahead and hop into the sliders, all right? So the first thing we're going to kind of go over, and if you've been following along, a lot of the sliders in the main menu are going to be very similar if you've used my settings before on PS4. The first thing, of course, is NFL playbooks. They need to be turned on. The NFL Live playbooks, that is, definitely turn them on. Play calling's extremely better. And skill level on main menu is all Madden, and game style, of course, is simulation, as these are for franchise mode only. Clock length, 10 minutes, accelerated clock off. This is 100% mandatory. Do not deviate from this. If you are curious about using a different clock setting, please comment on the video and ask me, and I'll let you know if it's a go. Defensive ball hawk definitely needs to be on. That's mandatory. Defensive switch assist is personal preference. I personally enjoy having it on, but if you want it off, go ahead. It makes no difference other than it just helps you out a little bit on tackling. And of course, you can see down there, player sliders, injuries is 25, fatigue 0, player speed parity scale is 50. Those are all mandatory. Now, I'm not going to read through every single one of these sliders for you, but a couple of these, there's not that many. I'll go ahead and read them through. But anyway, go ahead, pause the screen if you need to make sure you get everything as you're following this video along into your setup. And next we'll go along. Now, normally I don't talk about accessibility, but for whatever reason, some people will be asking me when I stream, hey, what's your brightness and contrast? I didn't even realize. So I went, and here you go. It's my brightness is at the highest. and my contrast is higher. I actually never touched this before until I had so many people asking me about it, and I went looking for it, and then I started messing around with it. And this is kind of what I decided I liked. So there's my settings for those. Penalties, same as they've been for a while, man. Max out everything and turn off an eligible receiver downfield. Super easy, but it's important to quarterback play. Next, player skill. This is going to be another carryover from the current version of Madden 21. Is zero out all the players' sliders except for special teams. Obviously, make sure you save this file because if you ever start over, it's easy just to load it up. CPU is the exact same. Again, do not touch the special team sliders. Just zero out all the regular sliders for the CPU. And, of course, save that file just in case you need it going down the line. Visual feedback is important to getting a challenging game, so make sure you have dynamic play call turned off. Previous play information is personal preference. Of course, I like having it on to see what they called. You know what I mean? The rest of these just need to all be off. They're just immersion killers, and honestly, they're just all sorts of stuff that's irrelevant are popping up all over your screen, and it's just kind of a waste. So just make sure you turn off all this stuff here. And it also keeps you away from focusing on the wrong things and instead just having fun and playing the game. Franchise bottom ticker, of course, is scores only. And this is the big one I want to talk about is the zoom camera on offense. This makes passing much more difficult on offense. I highly recommend it. It's not mandatory, but if you play on standard cam, it will be easier throwing the football, so you might find it a little bit more difficult. So I do highly and strongly recommend zoom camera on offense. Defense, you can use standard or zoom, up to you. Volume control, again, is personal preference, totally up to you, but I figured I'd share what my settings are just in case someone out there is like, look, I have no idea where to even begin for volume control, like what would I want to set these up as. So these are literally just for you guys, just in case you were looking for some good audio settings to get a good atmosphere in your franchise games. Main menu auto subs, we do not touch them, so you do not actually have to worry about this. Leave them alone. Don't even press X or A on Xbox to go into the setting. Just leave them be. After this, guys, we're pretty much done. We can go ahead and hop into a franchise, existing or current, of course, or existing or new, whatever the case may be. Just go ahead and we'll load into a franchise here and kind of go over the settings in franchise because they are different. Now, the first thing you want to do is go over to your league settings in your franchise mode. We're going to change the difficulty down to Pro. Obviously, I use main menu sliders to manipulate the difficulty inside franchise mode, but I prefer how the game plays on Pro. The rest of the stuff is kind of, just kind of up to you. It's all personal preference. The main thing is skill level Pro, game style simulation. That's number one. Number two, XP sliders. Now, these are not my XP sliders. I want to go ahead and mention that right now. These are some that I found on Operation Sports, and I'll share them for you just because, there hasn't been a lot of people posting XP sliders out there. Now, I will say this. If you guys have a pair of XP sliders that you found for Madden 21 that you have actually tested and you really like how they work, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below and let other people check them out. I'll probably check them out myself too because, you can never go wrong checking out multiple XP slider sets. But this is the one that I've been rocking with since pretty much the game came out, and I've felt no need to deviate from them. So that's why they're here, and figured I'd share them with you guys to check them out. Again, you don't have to use these ones, but definitely recommend using XP sliders, period, to get balance in your Madden franchise as you get multiple years into the franchise. All right, next is the good stuff, the gameplay sliders. So whenever you set up the gameplay sliders, the first thing you want to do is you want to hit square on the very bottom left there to reset, or if you're on Xbox, I believe that's X. And then you want to hit triangle to import from the main menu. So everything should be 0. Then you're going to manually adjust these up. Couple that I want to talk about are wide receiver catching. I have it at 35. I'm content with it at 35. Some people might think it's a little low. You might not like that you get 2 or 3 drops a game, which is honestly realistic. If you have issues with it, bump it up to 40, but it cannot go higher than 40, period. For the user, cannot go higher than 40. Everything else you see here is pretty standard. Again, I talked about it at the beginning of the video. If you have some issues, either it's a little bit too easy in a certain area, a little bit too hard, you can adjust the whatever slider it is that's causing you fits. Tackling, of course, goes in with run defense, and pass defense protection and coverage or passing sliders. So, yeah, basically that. Now, game options, these are all mandatory. There's no need to deviate off of those. Penalties, of course, are all mandatory as well. Now, intentional grounding, this needs to be off, okay? If you have it on, CPU quarterbacks act like robo quarterbacks. They don't throw any incompletions. Make sure it's off. You'll get really good gameplay from the CPU quarterback. All right, and the last thing we're going to talk about here is auto subs. Now, what I've been able to tell with auto subs is that some positions it affects how they play, others just strictly affects how they substitute. So you're going to see that. Now, with halfback at 90-49, you will see some rotations at the halfback position, which is fantastic. Other positions, you won't really see it quite as prevalent, but when those players start getting tired because of the higher fatigue, they will sub out a little bit, especially on the defensive line. I'm really loving how the defensive line works with the pairing of the fatigue slider. So make sure you grab those auto sub sliders. It works really nicely with the game. All right, guys, that's it. That's the sliders, man. I hope you really enjoy it. Please let me know how these play for you. Give me your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below. And as always, stay tuned to the next video. Peace.